All right, y'all. Analogy coming. I got some things I got to get off my chest after watching this all 22. So, all right, let's get it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL World? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching us. Once again, guys, my name is Stephen Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, guys, I want to get some stuff off my chest. I feel like this needs to be said for Doug. I'm demanding Doug remembers who he is, because I feel like he's lost his way a little bit, guys. I'm going to be honest here. Doug was, once upon a time, one of the most creative offensive minds in the game, to where he took over in 2016 towards the end of it, and into 2017 and parts of 2018, where he looked unstoppable from a play calling standpoint. But it hasn't continued, and that's a problem. And I've got to be honest, guys. It reminds me of today's analogy. So I'm going to give you guys something, all right? As a history major, you get to go down a lot of fascinating avenues, okay? So when I was in college studying history, I mean, you can literally study any topic you want and study its history. And one of the more interesting courses that I had was one about music history and its relation to, like, social rebellion, okay? Earlier, that first clip that rolled in, okay, with Jimi Hendrix. That was Jimi Hendrix at 1969 Woodstock, okay? This is a year after the Law and Order. I believe this is, during this time frame of some of the height of some of the protests that are kind of going on in Vietnam. A lot of stuff's taking place, a lot of social anxiety going on in the country. In Woodstock, at Woodstock, you have a black man who takes the stage playing the national anthem without lyrics and only invoking the emotions through his guitar. And that's the analogy I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton. And if you guys don't know who these two people are, these were world-renowned guitarists and frontmen for very big bands, okay? Both of them greats in their own rights, but different, okay? So Jimi Hendrix is the guy who he breaks the mold, all right? He does the unconventional things. He does the things that people don't think you can do. Eric Clapton was more of the guy who would perfect the system. He was great within the system, the boundaries of the system, okay? One of the absolute greatest of all time, and to some people think he was, within that system, the greatest. So, these two great guitarists, right? One day, Eric Clapton goes to watch a Jimi Hendrix concert. And this young man, because Jimi Hendrix died really young, guys. I believe he was in his 20s when he died. Jimi Hendrix takes the stage. And Jimi Hendrix is playing. And if you're not a guitar guy, don't worry. I'm not a guitar guy. I'm not a musician. I don't know how to play any instrument, guys. But Jimi Hendrix takes the stage. And he's holding this white Fender Stratocaster. And what's ironic and unique about this story and this analogy is, this is the same exact guitar, maybe not the same color, but the same exact guitar that Eric Clapton plays. And Eric Clapton sits back and he listens to this young kid play a song called Voodoo Child. Here you got a young black man taking the stage with the same guitar as Clapton, this Fender Stratocaster, and he's playing a title to a song that, if you really read between the lines, what it says, I'm a young black man playing rock and roll, and I can do it better than you. I can do things you can't even imagine. And then you heard that beginning, that introductory. It's a legendary. It's iconic, that intro is, and what Jimi Hendrix meant. Now you contrast that with a guy like Eric Clapton, who was also just a phenomenal guitarist, but it was within the system. And, here's Layla from Eric Clapton. The analogy. The analogy is the guitar is like two opposing coaches coming from similar coaching trees, okay? They're both playing the Stratocaster, but one guy can bend the strings better than another. There was a time in my life when I thought that, in this analogy, Doug Pederson was Jimi Hendrix. He was the guy that did things that people didn't understand what was going on. They were like, whoa, this dude, I mean, his marriage of the Andy Reid system, his marriage of the West Coast offense, his marriage of the spread offense concepts, the way he can call these plays and the timing of when he calls them, no one can do this. He used to be that guy. He used to be it. And I still think deep down it's there. I just feel like he's lost his way a little bit with it. And, you know, you look at this and you got a guy coming in this weekend in Sean McVay, who, in his own right, is a very, very good play caller, okay? He has a very much dumbed down system to where he does a small amount of things very, very well. Very similar. He's a spread guy. He's very similar to Norv Turner and Scott Turner. There's a lot of similarities between the team we just played last week and the team that's coming in this week. But you got these two contrasting guys coming in. And the question becomes, who's Jimi Hendrix? Kyle Shanahan? Sean Payton? Sean McVay? Doug Pederson? Somebody has to be the guy that when you look at offensively, you say, wow, this guy has broken every conventional wisdom you thought you knew. And I think Reed deserves credit for this too, to be quite honest, in this entire comparison I'm saying here. But the thing that bothers me is there was a period of time last season, right, between the New England game, the Seattle game, and the Miami game, 3 straight weeks, where we got beat by trick plays. We were once the organization that ran and executed one of the most risky plays in Super Bowl history called the Philly Special. What happened? What happened? Week after week after week in these defensive battles, our opponents finally broke the defensive stranglehold by beating us with a trick play. And we just didn't really have it. We didn't have it, man. The same magic wasn't there. As I look at these numbers, and I'm not going to go too far in depth with this stuff, guys, because Mike made a video yesterday where he already kind of covered this stuff, but here's what the Eagles' personnel grouping frequency was. 66%, 44 plays out of 12-man personnel. 12-man, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, hence the reason you get 12-man, okay? So then you get 11-man personnel. 27% of snaps, 18 plays. 11, 1, get it? 1 receiver, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers, 3 receiver set. 2-man personnel. This one's a little more tricky. 2-man personnel. Okay, so you got a 0 and a 2. All right? 2-man personnel. So what ends up happening with 2-man personnel is you have 0 running backs, 2 tight ends, 3 receivers. All right? And then 13-man personnel, you guys know this one. 1 running back, 3 tight ends, 1 receiver. All right. They had 2 plays, 3% at 13-man. They had 3 plays, 4% at 2-man. Where was the versatility? Look, I know that the personnel wasn't perfect. We were missing players. I know the offensive line didn't do the greatest job, clearly. But at what point do we try to get the ball in the playmakers' hands? At what point do we use pre- and post-snap motion to trick the defense, to draw their attention? At what play do we scheme things to get the defense flowing one way and get them the other way? These are the things that Doug used to do very, very well. And we've got to get back to it, man. We've got to get back to this stuff. Because as I close out my thoughts on this, guys, I used to have a professor that said something that I always found to be very profound. And in the geopolitical sense, there's a saying, power abhors a vacuum. I'll say that again, guys. Power abhors a vacuum. Meaning, it's unnatural for power to fall, centralized power, and not be reclaimed. With that said, power abhors a vacuum. If Doug doesn't feel it, somebody else will. That's the truth of the matter. These are my thoughts, guys. I would have liked to see us get the ball into playmakers' hands. Get the ball into Rager's hands. Get the ball into Jackson's hands. Get the ball in Miles Sanders' hand this week. Get the ball into Boston Scott's hands. Get the ball into the hands of players who can make plays. Carson, you're responsible too. But that's another day when I review the All-22 with you, because I got a bone to pick with you too, Carson. All right. That's it, guys. I'm going to close out this video. You know, I end out my videos. I do a little E-A-G-L-E-S. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.